The bomb has dropped. Kyle Larson will race for Hendrick Motorsports next season. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. Huge news this morning. We're going to talk all about Kyle Larson's new deal, what it looks like, what it means for him, what it means for Hendrick Motorsports and the rest of the competition next season. We're going to talk all about that, but before we get to it, we have to thank today's sponsor, Alumato, offering one hitch for all your towing needs. Alumato's line of adjustable, interchangeable hitch mounts provide unmatched reliability and versatility to drivers who expect excellence. Alumato's kits include 3 fully interchangeable chrome-plated hitch balls and a lightweight aircraft quality extruded aluminum alloy hitch mount that can be adjusted in 1-inch increments. All Alumato products are independently tested, and the largest ball in each kit has a market-leading towing capacity of 12,000 pounds. Most on the market are only 10,000. And they're selling fast. The versatility and high towing capacity make Alumato the preferred choice for towing boats, RVs, trailers. Alumato hitches are available exclusively from Missouri-based Uriah Products, a leader in the trailer and towing industry for more than 15 years. Visit alumato.com, link in the description for more information. All right, well, we do have a lot to discuss here. Remember a couple weeks ago when I made that plot film analogy? You know, in a typical movie or a typical book, anything with a standard plot, you know, there's rising action that leads to a climax, usually towards the end of the film or the book. That's like the most exciting thing. The good guy and the bad guy face off. I've been talking about NASCAR silly season for months, it feels like. This saga, this storyline has been going for months and months. All the earlier announcements, Brad Keselowski staying at Team Penske for another year, Ross Chastain to the 42, Alex Bowman switching to the 48, Eric Jones leaving the 20, replaced by Christopher Bell going to the 43. These are all rising action. Bubba Wallace, Michael Jordan. But since April, actually really since the start of the season, I think even coming into the season, Kyle Larson was expected to be the most highly sought after driver this free agency. So really since the beginning of this year, Kyle Larson has been the biggest domino in whatever this silly season was supposed to be. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of October. We have reached what I believe is the climax of a wild 2020 NASCAR silly season. Hendrick Motorsports announced this morning that Kyle Larson will drive the number 5 Chevy Camaro for the team in 2021. Probably the worst kept secret in NASCAR the last month or two. We've talked about it a number of times on this show, how all signs seem to point to Kyle Larson being signed by Rick Hendrick, Alex Bowman being moved over to the 48 to use that Ally sponsorship deal. You know, Rick Hendrick, Kyle Larson, and a Chevy executive reportedly meeting in Philadelphia a couple months ago. The writing has been on the wall for a long time. Honestly, the writing has been on the wall since January. At the beginning of the season, the 2 most likely landing places for Kyle Larson in 2021 were either Stewart-Haas Racing, because of Tony Stewart and Kyle Larson's shared background, and Stewart has had nothing but great things to say about Larson for many years, or Hendrick Motorsports, because we knew since the beginning of this season that Jimmy Johnson was going to be retiring, and Hendrick Motorsports was going to expect someone great to take his place. So Hendrick has been a candidate to land Kyle Larson since the beginning of the year, and while of course Kyle Larson's suspension earlier this year maybe slowed down that process, it was clearly not enough to completely stop the deal from happening. Now let's discuss details. Hendrick and Larson announced that this is a multi-year deal. No specifics, could be 2 years, could be 20 years, who knows? But this means Larson will be with the team next year and will be with Hendrick for at least the first year of the next gen car. Hendrick Motorsports also announced that Cliff Daniels, the current crew chief for Jimmy Johnson, will be Kyle Larson's crew chief next year atop the 5 pit box. And of course we do have to talk about the fact that Hendrick is bringing back the number 5. The 5 car has not been running the Cup Series since 2017 with Casey Kane behind the wheel. They rebranded that 5 team into the current 24 team that William Byron drives for, but with Alex Bowman and Greg Ives and basically the current 88 team moving to the 48 next year, it seems like the 48 team of this year is now going to move back to the 5. So the 88 is being retired, at least for the time being. But bringing back the 5 car is pretty significant for longtime Hendrick Motorsports fans. You know, the 5 car was the first number that Hendrick Motorsports ran in the Cup Series. Rick Hendrick has said before that in many ways he considers the 5 to be the flagship car of that team. So putting Kyle Larson into that car is certainly significant. Now, there was no sponsorship announced today. In fact, it was even reported that currently there is no sponsorship sold for Kyle Larson next season, which isn't super surprising. There's already questions about how Chevrolet signed off on this, given that back in April, Chevrolet was one of the major sponsors that fired Kyle Larson, cut all ties with Larson. But Chevrolet obviously signed off on this. It's unclear if Larson has any sort of personal deal with Chevrolet. You know, a lot of the top drivers in NASCAR have personal deals with their manufacturers. They get company cars, you know. Joey Logano gets a nice Ford Mustang from Ford because he drives for Ford. You know, I bet a lot of the Hendrick guys, Chase Elliott probably got some really nice Chevy cars in his garage. Good chance Kyle Larson's not going to get that same treatment, at least not at first, but I guess we don't know for sure. But currently no sponsorship sold for Kyle Larson. You know, of course, Rick Hendrick has a tremendous amount of reach. Dude owns a ton of car dealerships across the nation. That's really his bread and butter. If you look at the 88 car this year, they have a lot of sort of Chevy goods partners that are serve as the primary on a weekly basis. A lot of that is Rick Hendrick pulling some strings with Chevrolet with all of his dealerships. There's a good chance, a lot of the rumblings are that Rick Hendrick's going to be able to do some of that for Kyle Larson next year, but it does look at this point as though Larson's car next year may not be fully funded. Obviously, we still have a few months until Daytona rolls around, so something could change, but right now, it looks like Hendrick is taking a little bit of a risk, a financial risk perhaps, sticking Kyle Larson in that car next year. Now I want to look at the statements that Rick Hendrick and Kyle Larson released today, and then I want to talk about what this means for Larson's future success and what this means for Hendrick Motorsports and their long-term future, because Hendrick Motorsports next year is going to be a young race team. I mean, compared to just a few years ago, its difference is night and day. We'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, Rick Hendrick had this to say: Kyle is unquestionably one of the most talented race car drivers in the world. He has championship level ability and will be a significant addition to our on-track program. More importantly, I have full confidence that he understands our expectations and will be a tremendous ambassador for our team, our partners, and NASCAR. Kyle and I have had many conversations leading up to today's announcement. I'm confident about what's in his heart and his desire to be a champion in all aspects of his life and career. Kyle has done important work over the past 6 months, and Hendrick Motorsports is going to support those continued efforts. Here is Kyle Larson's statement: Hendrick Motorsports is a championship organization that has set a high bar for performance and for how its drivers represent the team and its partners. My goal is to win races, be a great teammate, continue my personal efforts to grow, and hold myself to that high standard personally and professionally. Making the absolute most of this platform and the opportunity in front of me is my focus. I know what's expected of me and what I expect of myself on and off the track. Mr. Hendrick is one of the people who extended a hand to me over the past 6 months. Our initial conversations were not about racing. He cares about me as a person and wants to see me succeed beyond driving. I can't put into words how grateful I am for the commitment, the faith, and the confidence from him and everyone at Hendrick Motorsports. I think it goes without saying that the race car Kyle Larson is going to inherit next season will be the most competitive car he's driven in his Cup career to this point. I think Kyle Larson is making a strong career move by signing with Hendrick Motorsports, the most popular team in the NASCAR garage, a team that he will technically be the oldest driver on, so he'll immediately be kind of looked at as one of the leaders of the organization. And to me, today's announcement really shows that Kyle Larson is committed to winning and being great in NASCAR. And there have been questions about that as recently as this season. Kyle Larson comes from dirt racing, sprint car racing. That clearly seems to be his strongest passion. I mean, he's the guy who a couple years ago said winning the Chili Bowl was a bigger deal to him than winning the Daytona 500. He's clarified those comments a little bit since then, but it's clear Kyle Larson loves dirt racing. It was in the news last week, though, that Kyle Larson is shutting down his World of Outlaws sprint car team. That doesn't mean that Kyle Larson is not going to run some dirt races next year. I mean, traditionally, Rick Hendrick has not been super fond of his Cup drivers running other races around the country, but I would be shocked if Larson doesn't run any sprint car races next year. He just isn't going to run his own equipment. But still, him selling his team or closing his team down and him signing for Hendrick Motorsports, which is a premier NASCAR Cup Series organization, all respect to Chip Ganassi Racing, but when I consider the A tier of NASCAR Cup Series teams, I think Joe Gibbs Racing, Stewart-Haas Racing, Team Penske, and Hendrick Motorsports. Chip Ganassi is a half step below them, with guys like the Wood Brothers and maybe Richard Childress Racing, and then maybe a half step below that is Roush and Richard Petty. My point is, Hendrick Motorsports are championship contending cars, and like Larson and Hendrick both say in their statements, Hendrick demands championship level performance from its drivers, especially someone like Kyle Larson, who isn't going to be a rookie next season. I mean, he's going to be in his, eighth season full-time in Cup next year? Larson's got 6 wins to this point, all with Chip Ganassi Racing. His best season by far was 2017, where he won 4 races. However, last year, 2019, first year with this high downforce rules package, which certainly doesn't perfectly suit his driving style, Larson did make his deepest run in the playoffs. He made it to the round of 8 last year, won a race, and won the All-Star race. So Larson's coming off a very solid 2019 season in Chip Ganassi equipment, boosting him up into a Hendrick car, which, of course, Hendrick is not the team it was 5-6 years ago, but they're still really close to the top guys. I mean, Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman are both in the round of 8 right now. Elliott has a real chance of advancing to the Championship 4, which would be the first Chevy car in the Championship 4 since 2017, I believe. Actually, no, it's 2016, right? When Jimmy won his last championship. Wow. I'll back up Rick Hendrick's claims. I think Kyle Larson is one of the best all-around race car drivers on planet Earth. What he's done this year alone against the top drivers in sprint car racing, I mean, he won a tough dirt late model feature in like his second ever start. What he's done this year alone, in my opinion, is proof to me that he's at least one of the best drivers in North America. There's always been questions about whether or not cup racing really suits his driving style. He's had some fantastic moments. Remember, guys, this is the same Kyle Larson, the same guy who was a part of that epic finish in 2018 with Kyle Busch at Chicagoland. In fact, we could talk about all the great Kyle and Kyle moments across Xfinity and Cup Series racing over the years. This is the same driver who I would say over the last several years has been the most entertaining NASCAR Cup Series driver on the racetrack. Kyle Larson is going to have the best car he's ever had in his Cup career next season. I fully expect him to make the playoffs. I expect him to win multiple races next season, and I would not be shocked if he is a championship contender next season. I know it's a lot of pressure to put on a guy who hasn't been in a Cup car now in 8 months. I have a feeling we're going to see that talent on full display next year. He's driven like a man on a mission this season in dirt. I think that momentum, I think that mentality is going to carry over into 2021. And I think Kyle Larson is going to be a monster next season. There might be some growing pains off the bat because, of course, next year is going to be a lot of one-day shows, still a lot of no practice, no qualifying races. That might be rough for him to get acclimated, but within a couple months, I think Kyle Larson is going to be very dangerous next season. I do really quick want to talk about what this means for Hendrick Motorsports, though. So Kyle Larson, like I said, was the best free agent on the market coming into the season. Even after a suspension, which of course he has now been reinstated, he'll be officially allowed back into NASCAR starting January 1st. Even after that, yes, the mistake he made in April was really dumb. He didn't forget how to drive a race car. So if we're just talking about pure driving talent, Hendrick Motorsports got the best guy on the market. Hendrick Motorsports next year is going to be extremely young. Kyle Larson is 28 years old. He'll be 28 by the time next year starts. He will be the oldest driver on the team. Think about just 5-6 years, like 2015 when Jeff Gordon was still with the team. You had Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. All four of those drivers that year were more than 35 years old. Fast forward just 6 years and none of their drivers are even 30 years old. Like, what a difference just a few years make. And it's been a pretty slow and progressive change for Hendrick. You know, Chase Elliott was introduced in 2016. 2018, they brought Alex Bowman over full-time. William Byron became a rookie. And now 2021, Larson is going to replace Jimmy Johnson effectively. So it's not like overnight they just swapped out all four drivers with four young drivers. You know, it's been sort of a slow progressive thing. And I think that's been great because Chase Elliott, now in his fifth year in the Cup Series, he has emerged as the leader of the team. I mean, statistically speaking, the last 3 years, he has been the best driver at Hendrick Motorsports, and it's not even been close. Jimmy Johnson maybe is still the de facto leader because he's a 7-time champion, a living, walking, breathing legend, but Chase Elliott is leading by example on the racetrack. So I think Chase Elliott's still really going to be the leader next season, but Kyle Larson's going to challenge him. Chase Elliott has not really been challenged the last 3 years. I think Kyle Larson will be that guy. We've seen how good that's been for Richard Childress this year. Austin Dillon's been kind of floundering for a few years. They brought Tyler Reddick in this year, 2-time defending Xfinity champion, and he seemed to light a fire under everybody. Both RCR cars are back in the top 20 in points, and Austin Dillon got a win and made the playoffs this year. So bringing in a talented driver like Kyle Larson, someone who can really compete with Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, and even William Byron, who's still got a lot to learn, I think, this could elevate the entire organization. But what's most important for Hendrick, though, is they are set up for the future. I don't know if all four of these drivers are going to work out. You know, I think Kyle Larson will. Kyle Larson, I've seen enough. I think Kyle Larson is really good. I've seen enough at Chase Elliott, and as NASCAR continues to add more road courses, he's going to be fantastic. I'm pretty well sold on Alex Bowman at this point. He's been really solid as well, but sponsorship's always a question. He's just kind of limping from contract to contract, it feels like, so need some more stability for Bowman. William Byron's still a question mark. He's really young. He's the youngest of the four, obviously. He has the least experience of the four, obviously. I'm not entirely sold on William Byron, but they already announced that, as we talked about in yesterday's video, Rudy Fugle is going to be his crew chief next year, and I think Rudy Fugle is a really solid pickup for Hendrick, getting him over from Toyota and KBM. So I look at those four drivers, and while maybe I'm not entirely sold on Byron, or even quite fully sold on Bowman being a 15-year vet champion contender, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, I believe, will be championship contenders for years to come. So this is a huge pickup for Hendrick Motorsports. You look at their competitors. Joe Gibbs Racing, we talked about yesterday, they're getting old. Denny Hamlin's about to turn 40. Truex is already in his 40s. Kyle Busch even is, 36, I believe? JGR is getting a little old. SHR is basically the Kevin Harvick team, and Kevin Harvick, yeah, he's got a couple years left on his contract, but he's getting into his 40s. This is probably his last contract, if I had to guess. The competition is getting older. Hendrick Motorsports is getting younger, but in my opinion, they're not losing out on talent. I mean, all respect to Jimmy Johnson, arguably the greatest driver ever. In 2020, I personally would rather have Kyle Larson driving for me. Jimmy Johnson is not what he once was. He's clearly slipped a little bit. There's no disrespect. That's just the truth. I'd rather have Kyle Larson. So Hendrick Motorsports is not losing any talent next season. In fact, I think they're adding talent with Rudy Fugle. Meanwhile, a lot of their top competitors are just getting older and in many cases are losing talent. See Toyota. See my whole video about Toyota yesterday. So this is a very huge week for Hendrick Motorsports. I'm excited to see what Kyle Larson does next season and many years down the line. An announcement we all saw coming, but it's good to finally see it announced for real. Let me know what you all think. Do you think Kyle Larson to Hendrick was the right move for Larson, the right move for Hendrick? How do you think this is going to work going forward? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. That is all I've got for today's episode. Thank you again to Alumato for sponsoring this episode. Check out their website down in the description. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. And of course, a huge thank you to my tremendous Patreon supporters. As of the time I'm recording this, Texas has still not been restarted. They're hoping to run the rest of the race this afternoon. I think they'll get it done today. It looks like they'll get it done today. So we'll have a video up after the checkered flag talking about Texas. So stay tuned for that. Until then though, I will see you all very, very soon. Take care everyone. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.